My next guest is Honorable Mrs. Justice Ayesha Malik, and she is someone who needs no introduction. We just want to say here that ma'am, you have been a true inspiration to all of us, and I would request your leadership to come here and say a few words.
Let me say that I'm honored to be here, honored to be talking and listening on a subject which is very close to my heart and which I feel very passionate about, and I'll explain why in a moment. But first of all, let me congratulate the Lahore High Court Bar on establishing this committee. I think this is a great step forward. It's the call of the day, and it shows the commitment of the bar towards a subject which is very, very important, and that is of raising sensitivity and awareness on gender issues as well as on diversity. And it also confirms another aspect of the bar which we all know and understand, but now I would say that it's right in front of us, that the bar is dedicated to upholding the rule of law. And the rule of law includes all efforts to ensure fair, effective, and easy access to justice for men and for women. So now the question is that we've spent the last 2 hours discussing access to justice for women, for vulnerable people. So why are we doing that? Why are we discussing only women? And why is it that there's so many women talking about women issues? And then why is it that this woman judge is saying that this subject is so important? Well, it's very simple. Women are vulnerable members of society. Even if she is an active member of society, there are certain, as Hassan has rightly said, there are mindsets, there are cultural and social barriers which make it difficult for her to do things which ordinarily we think it is easy to do. So women and men both face difficulties in accessing justice. They have common problems, economic problems, distance problems, maybe even physically getting to a place. These are common problems. But there are certain barriers that women in particular face. And as a part of the legal community and the justice sector, the objective here is to recognize those barriers, to understand that there are problems, and these are real problems. These are problems that matter, and they go to the heart of why women don't come to the court, or if they are in court, why they have difficulty accessing justice. And data shows, as the Commission has shared, that there are problems of women getting to court. So we've discussed them, we've heard about them. There will be economic problems, there will be social and cultural problems, but there are other problems which, like has been said, the mindset can start changing. There are stereotyping problems, where we start stereotyping each other, where we start stereotyping the gender. This is a problem, and this is a problem that the legal community has a role to play in. The legal community can recognize that stereotyping is not the right thing to do, and that stereotyping is something that we must avoid. There are other barriers which are of awareness. There is information. Women are not easily able to access information. They may not be going out so much, so they don't really know where to go, who to go to, and how to get to that person. They may not even know that even if they come to the court, where to go and what to do once they're in the court. And these are global phenomena. Let me tell you, this is not a Pakistan-specific problem or a Punjab problem. This is a global phenomena. Women around the world face the same problem. Sirf degree mein difference hoga. Some places more, some places less. In our country, because of the economics, because of the fact that not everybody has enough money, because of education, problems are bigger in numbers. So we need to address those issues, and we need to see why we have these problems. Now, the first thing that I think that's important to realize and to discuss is about gender sensitivity. And why do we want to discuss gender sensitivity, and why do we think that gender sensitivity is a subject that even requires attention? We've been working for the last 2-3 years on sensitizing judges to gender issues. And in training programs, we've been talking about stereotyping, language use, how to discuss problems, and how to deal with the witness, the victim, the accused. Everybody has rights, and everybody has a role to play. And the court is a place within which justice has to be done, and justice can only be done if people feel comfortable, if they're able to say the truth, and if the truth is voiced in a manner without anyone feeling intimidated or scared, without them feeling that once they go out they'll have to worry about log kya kahenge, muashara kya kahega, khandan kya kahega. These are not the concerns of the immediate courtroom, but still there are issues which have to be addressed. So the first question is gender sensitization, and what does it mean? Well, as you've been hearing, it's about being sensitive to the fact that be it a man or a woman, you treat everything with equal value, give equal respect. You understand that there are similarities and differences. So everybody in this room has grown up in their own environment, with their own circumstances, their own experiences. And those experiences culminate with age into how they decide things, how they see things, how they, what decisions they make, how they perceive things. It's all about perception. So my perception can be different from anyone else's in the room. But that doesn't mean that my perception or your perception is wrong. It's just a perception. And I must treat that perception and give it the same value. I shouldn't look at the fact this is a man, this is a woman, this is a child, this is an old person. I shouldn't bring in my preconceived notions and say these things are there, so let me consider all these factors before I assimilate and decide whether this person is right or wrong. So gender sensitization is about realizing that everybody has the same value, same opportunity, same value to the opinion. You give the same weightage to what everybody says. It also means that you're sensitive to, like what was pointed out by Amir, that if there is a disabled person, can that disabled person access something? If it is a child, can the child comprehend what's being done? If it's an abuse case, is this the way, is this the environment in which that witness or that accused, the abused can possibly give her statement? So these are questions that you have to think about. And as advocates, you would think about it more not only in the context of your own case, but also in the context of that environment within which you work, because you can be listening to a case and you can be feeling that this is not right, this situation doesn't make sense, इसको थोड़ा मैं ऐसे कर दूं तो ये शायद बेहतर हो जाएगा. She might be able to speak better. He may not feel so intimidated in that situation. Let me give you an example of what it means to be gender sensitive and how these these GBV courts came into existence. So we started training judges on the issue, and we started hearing the problems that the court was facing in dealing especially with cases of abuse and rape, sexual abuse, or even harassment issues. And we thought that there has to be a way to deal with it. Of course, there is a judgment on this, a Supreme Court judgment, which actually lays down the process and gives you the SOPs on how to deal with such cases, how to record the evidence. So then came the idea that there should be a special court in which maybe it will be more comforting for that woman to give her evidence. It will be easier for the judge to see what happens. And the reason for that is, let me draw that picture for you. So we took a group of observers, some foreigners, some local, into a courtroom to witness a trial, a rape trial. And after observing the trial, what are the comments that we received? That what was wrong with it? The first thing was, everybody said that how is that lady even supposed to say anything? She stands in the middle. On one side is one lawyer, on the other side is the other lawyer. Next to her is the accused who's staring at her. Behind her is the brother and the father. Half the village is in that courtroom. The police is standing there. Everybody's staring at her. And just by doing that, what statement do you expect her? How will she recount her story? What will she say when someone is snickering in the back or smiling or just staring at her and thinking, what is this? What is she saying? The second thing that came out very strongly when everyone was giving their observation, that everyone is on top of each other. They're all clustered together in the front on top of the judge. So even the judge doesn't have space to sort of think about what he wants. You know, it's a very intimidating environment. So the GBV court, what does it do? It creates space. It gives privacy and space. And in that, it upholds the dignity of that accused as well as of the victim by giving her her the ability to be protected, to be behind a screen, so that she doesn't have to look at anybody when she narrates her story. And if it's even difficult, that's even difficult, then another arrangement has been made for her. And like it was said by the prosecutor, this is all done within the confines of the law. So nothing here has been done which is outside the law, which is new to the law. In fact, if you read that Supreme Court judgment, you will find that this was said some 20 years ago, but actually never implemented. The same is the case with children. You imagine a child, a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, a 5-year-old who's been abused in any manner. How would you expect that child to give a testimony in an environment when everybody's standing and staring at that child? You need to give space. So gender sensitivity is about, for me, is about recognizing space, about recognizing the fact that I need some space in which I can be who I am, I can say what I want to say, and I won't be questioned on that, I won't be judged on that, and it won't matter how I look and where I've come from. What will matter is the value of what I'm saying that has happened. That's gender sensitivity. And again, we'll just discuss how lawyers can play a role in that. The other example I'll give you, apart from the gender-based violence case, is when women come to courts in other cases, be it family disputes, be it inheritance dispute, property disputes. Like has been discussed, there are many pressures, external pressures and internal pressures. The external pressures, again, which was rightly said by Hassan, she has to think about court aana hai, to family क्या कहेगी, father क्या कहेगा, भाई क्या कहेगा, इज्जत का क्या होगा, खानदान का क्या होगा. All those things have to be thought about, and she has to carry that burden with her should she choose to go to court to fight for her rights. The internal pressure is that when she's there, whether she's there as a witness, whether she's there in her own capacity, she, for some reason or the other, is looked at very skeptically. Even when you bring in the expert witnesses to come and give their statement, if there is a woman expert coming in, there is a skepticness attached with the fact simply because she's a woman. And that shows that there's no sensitivity. I don't think anyone means to be skeptical. I don't think anyone means to not listen. I think that's just the environment. That's just the way the society and culture and norms, we've just been taught to do it that way. We just think about it that way. We don't really think about doing it any other way. So here comes the part that what can I do? How can I make a difference? Well, I can make a difference by being gender sensitive, by being gender responsive, by taking into consideration that this is the way I should respond to a situation. And when I take that into consideration and I respond, I automatically start affecting that mindset. I start educating, I start creating awareness. So to give you another example, when I go for the trainings at the Judicial Academy and I see men and women sitting, the judges sitting, I like the way all of you are sitting. It's a mixed group. But in the academy, the judges generally, women judges on one side, male judges on one side. And the first thing I do is I tell them, mix up. Because you can't address gender issues, you can't talk about sensitivity when you're separating yourselves from each other, when you're not willing to sit next to each other to see how things are. So you guys are steps ahead. You see, you're already sitting like this. And there's a group of men and women here who are listening and who are ready to take this message and start creating that awareness, within the bar. So when we talk about inequality, it's not inequality in the book meaning. Equality is there in the books like they've discussed. It's the actual making and the happening of that equality. And it is how you think about things. It is how you want to bring that change. And how do I think about it? What do I think about? I have 3 children. 2 of my children are sitting here. And I think about what is that world that I want my children to be in. God forbid ever if my children had to access the court, the police, and how would I want them to be treated? If I want them to be treated the way they are being treated now, the way we all are treating them now, then I'm okay with it. But if I don't want them to be treated like that, if I would not want my daughter to be subjected to any of those things, then it means I have to make a change. I have to make a difference. If I'm not going to make a difference, then for the generations to come, we are part of the problem. And it means that we've isolated ourselves. We said to ourselves, the problem is not mine because I'm not affected. It's her problem, it's his problem, I'm not affected. But that's not the way it should be. That's not how how we are supposed to be. We are all here as officers of a court. We are all here to uphold the rule of law. We are all here to deliver justice for everybody. We all have a role to play, and we all have to step out of our regular shoes and look at the problem with that gender lens and see, is this the way I would want someone in my family to be treated? Would I allow that witness to be standing there with 10 men surrounding her so that she can make her statement? Is that fair? Is that just? Will she actually be able to do something? Will she give that statement? Will the court actually be able to come to some conclusion in this circumstances? So each one of you have a role to play. Each one of you can make a difference. You can make a difference in your own case. You can make the difference when you see something that's not right. You can stand up and say, maybe if you shift things around, it will be better. If any of you have appeared in my court, you know that I do that. Whenever there's a lady advocate or a lady standing in front, I'll always say, please make some space for the lady. Don't crowd around her. It's not being offensive. I'm just thinking if I was standing there, I wouldn't want so many people surrounding me. I'd like some space. And so I want to give the other person that space. I'll do the same thing for any senior male advocate, for any young advocate. When I feel he's being or she is being clustered, I will create space. So that's what sensitivity is about. We want to create space. We want to create awareness, and we want to see that we recognize the fact that sometimes some groups, be it women, children, old people, some groups are just more vulnerable because of things that maybe we don't have a direct control on, but things which we can make a difference to. We can turn around and change things. It's not going to happen in a day. It's a continuous process, and you have to decide, are you going to be part of that process, or are you just going to be a bystander who's going to stand, who's going to watch, who's going to teach their own child some other standard but live some other standard? So that is what you have to do. And I'm happy that I'm here today and I have the opportunity to address the lawyers and to talk about this issue, because it's easy, like everybody said, कि ऊपर से नहीं हो सकता. It is grassroots level. Yes, सारा कुछ legal and law नहीं होता. It can't all be through law reforms and legal changes in the law. Some things are action related, practice related. Some things are what we say and how we say it. So like Ahmed showed, how we use different words, how we say different things which we should not be saying. And so like I can give another example. For when judges write judgments, sometimes they don't think about the stereotyping that is put into the judgment, or the stereotyping that is put there which brands a certain type of people. So if you say that all young girls leave their homes and run away on one excuse or the other, you're branding all the girls. You're branding all the girls, including me and my girl. Why should I be branded just because of my gender? There's no reason for me to be branded. And then that person who did run away for some reason, who may be your client, we don't know why she ran away. We don't know what circumstances made her run away. I'd have to look at it in that particular case, in that context, to understand what made her, what compelled her to run away. So this is stereotyping. You don't want to stereotype it. So for example, think about it. When you're at home or chote bacche hote hain, you always hand the doll over to the girl and the dinky over or the car to the boy. Why? Because the girl has to play with the car and the doll, and the boy has to play with the car. And if we were to reverse it, everybody would be, oh my God, ये तो नहीं हो सकता. लड़के तो गुड़िया के साथ नहीं खेल सकते, और लड़कियाँ गाड़ी के साथ, ये तो बिल्कुल गलत हो जाएगा. The whole growing up concept will go wrong. So these are things which we have to think about, कि क्या हो जाएगा? What will go so badly? What will go wrong? I mean, when my kids were growing up, my boys had to play with their sister on her terms, whatever her terms were, and they had to do it. They didn't have a choice, and she had to play with them on their terms. So it was part of the growing up process. I don't think that my boys can be called any less man or any less boy than they are just because they had to play with their sister. So ये mindset होता है. You have to change the mindset, and I urge you all of you, as part of this noble profession, of this educated profession, justice will come in a manner that is equal and affordable for everybody, so that that woman, like they said, वो आना नहीं चाहती कोर्ट. वो क्यों नहीं आना चाहती कोर्ट? उसने अपनी हक की लड़ाई लड़नी है, आए ना कोर्ट, आके लड़े अपनी. Give the system a chance, and the system should also welcome her and should also say कि चलो अब आ गई हो, तो let me see what I can do for you. So now what have I said? I've said gender sensitivity, gender responsiveness. I've said gender matters, and that's what all of you have to go home and think about. about. Why does gender matter? If you have children at home, brothers, sisters, parents, please think about it. As you move along with time, gender does make a difference. It does matter. Those experiences are important. That's why we say diversity. That's why we say bring more women judges. Diversity hoti hai, different approaches hote hain, different ways of looking at things hoti hai. And some other time, in some other discussion, we can even see how gender plays a role when you're judging, how it makes a difference. Recently, I was invited to Buenos Aires to speak on gender and judging, and how as a female judge, I thought that my gender played a role. And of course it does play a role, because my perceptions, my opinions are based on the way I think, the way I've grown up, the way, the kind of experiences I've had. So it'll be this different for any male colleague, for anybody else that will be there. Now, just to sort of conclude on appreciating the great effort by the High Court and this committee that you've made, some of the things that you've heard, different things that lawyers can do, but I think this committee has a great role to play. I think this committee can make a difference, number one, by creating awareness. So having sessions and workshops, talking about issues, creating awareness, helping to change the mindset. The committee can also start reaching out into areas, going outside of Lahore and seeing how can it change the mindset in those areas. Collect data. Data collection is vital. So it's important to know what are those gender-related issues, what are those barriers, Lahore mein kya hai, Okada mein kya hai, Mian Channu mein kya hai, kidhar kya ho raha hai, which is making life difficult for those women to access the courts. So that we don't have those problems like those buildings that Amir showed us, that it's too far away, bahut uncha hai, access nahi hai, she can't go there. We want to create an environment that she can go. You can also develop toolkits. You can develop practice manuals. You can develop your own helpline. You can develop pamphlets which are written in Urdu to tell people what their rights are. You can have kiosks in different courtrooms where you are just helping people, letting them know where to go, who to approach, how to approach. By doing that, you are dealing with a very serious issue, and that is the lack of awareness, the lack of awareness. And now to continue with it, to keep going, so that you can be the pioneers and you can say, look, we've put in our bit. This is what we're doing, and as time will go, more and more people will be involved. Thank you all once again. The committee has been most generous, coming to me repeatedly, requesting me to come here. It's been great speaking to all of you, and I hope that you continue these workshops. Please know that I'm always available and happy, and I'm going to volunteer the services of Zafar Kalanori as well. I know he'll always be there to help you as well.